Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bad Hasbara, the world's most moral podcast. It is I, Matt Lieb, your most moral host in the whole world. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast again. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is a podcast about Israeli propaganda. And, you know, about other stuff, too, but mostly that. It's mostly about that.
And the women who love them.
And the women who love them, you know. Behind every good, you know, propaganda is a girl propaganda who, you know,
she's got eyelashes.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's a girl.
You're so good at lying. And then they rub on each other's shoulders. I just want to first say to everyone out there in this world, all these most moral listeners, thank you so much for all of the love and support that you have shown this podcast. I'm really happy that people have found it. Been getting a lot of nice letters from people who listen and are so happy to have at least somewhere on the internet or in the audio world in which you can feel not insane. I just want to let people know you are not insane. You're probably normal. And, you know, so good for you. You'll see right next to me is one of my most moral other co-hosts.
One of my most moral wives.
One of my
as opposed to my other whore wife.
Of all of my wives, she's the most moral. The rest of them, disgusting hogs. You know, they're just about sex all the time, and but not her.
Okay, all right.
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone else, welcome Francesca Fiorentini from the Bitchuation Room.
That's right. That is a podcast and a live stream. What's up?
Yeah.
I'm very happy to be here. There has been far too much going on, and Matt and I usually have bonus Bad Hasbara conversations late at night.
That's what we do. We kind of live inside a perpetual podcast in which we're both talking to each other about the horrors of the world. So it's nice to occasionally get those, you know, on camera.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. All the things, exactly. All the things I can't say on a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
With you.
Yeah, she can say all of them to me. And I just, you know, internalize them. I am talking to the ADL right now about what my options are. But, you know, she's a wonderful podcaster, wonderful comedian, and also one of the most wonderful wives I've ever had. And yeah, before we go on, I want to tell people you can, when you're listening on Spotify, you can give us comments. Did you know that? You can go into each episode and be like, I liked the episode, so do that, please, and then give it 5 stars and stuff. That helps. Also, you know, I've been pushing people to listen to the podcast rather than watch it because of all the, you know, the ad revenue that we actually get from people listening as opposed to YouTube, which steals the monies. And
YouTube is the worst platform.
It really is.
It's 95% of YouTube creators live below the poverty line.
Yeah.
Or something. 2 of them are in this room.
Yeah. Well, that's us. Below the poverty line, us. On food stamps, us. No, but the reason I'm mentioning this once again for you to listen to it is also you will actually get the episode before anyone else does if you're someone who listens to the podcast. Because as soon as it's done, I edit the audio and I put it up on, you know, Spotify and Apple Podcasts and wherever you get your podcasts. And then it takes some time to load into YouTube. So what you're watching right here is probably 2 to 3 hours after it's already been released. So why watch is the point. Another point I'd like to make is if you want it even earlier than that, patreon.com/badhasbara. That's right. Early access to everything is there. You can also get bonus episodes eventually. You can also get just a bunch of random extra content. So please join patreon.com/badhasbara. Also, last but not least, second to last but not least, shout out to producer Adam Levin. We love you. And last but not least, the Reddit. r/bad Hasbara is about to die. It is
What?
Yeah. So there's been a concerted effort by other subreddits to try to get it banned, and we are now on our last warning about some rule about like if you post content from other subreddits, then that is considered doxing.
Oh, they got you on a technicality.
Yeah. So we're on our last warning for that, which, it's been an amazing ride. I hope it keeps going. Shout out to all the mods there who are honestly working overtime for free on this thing. And they've grown it to a degree that has been amazing to watch.
What can we do? Is it
all you can do is join r/bad Hasbara and go on there and just have a good time. It's a lot of fun, and the mods do a good job of filtering out all the Zionist psychos and all of the Nazi psychos who like to brigade the page.
Ooh.
So please join.
Sometimes those are the same thing.
But often they are.
I'm not allowed to say that though under new legislation.
There's new laws, and we will get to that today. But anyways, join the subreddit. It's a lot of fun. Most of the people don't know it's about a podcast. Enjoy yourself.
Hey guys, this is Matt Lieb. I'm the host of.
Hey guys, thanks so much. Who the fuck are you? And just like, oh shit. I don't know. I'm the guy who made the podcast. I made the subreddit. Doesn't matter. Have fun. And then I run away.
Post meme.
Post meme. Bye bye. Okay. Today, I want to introduce our most moral guest, because today you're our most moral co-host.
Oh, fun.
I mean, just so you know, it's a very important. Anyways,
never been the most moral co-host.
Yeah, you've always been the most immoral. You know what I mean? I don't know what I'm saying.
Hey.
But our most moral guest on the podcast today, he is a wonderful human being, a good friend of both of ours. This is a guy who's an activist. We have been politically active with him. We were in Nevada knocking doors for Bernie together back in 2020. Yes, we did. Back in the before time, long ago. He is also the co-host of Beyond the Pale Radio for the Jewish Left in New York City, the Big Apple. Hey, I'm walking here and I'm welcoming Rafael Shimunov. How you doing?
Walking here.
Hey, what you doing? Hey, I'm canvassing for Bernie over here.
Occasionally, you like bump into someone with that accent, and then you just like stand there like you're at the Smithsonian, and just in its glory, you just like soak in as much as possible.
You see that guy? What was he doing? He was just walking here.
It's so funny because I was in New York after 9/11, and so like the sound of like a racist love it or leave it is just that, is like a Staten Island guy going you don't like it?
Yeah, get
hey,
the
why don't
fuck
you leave?
out.
Hey,
what you doing in our beautiful country if you ain't gonna eat the gabagool?
I'm suffering blowback here. Like that's. It is very accent for me.
It's so sad to hear about the Reddit thread, because
I know
the way I viewed it. Like, do you remember that song? Like, what if God is one of us?
Absolutely.
I
always thought it was very deep.
It's so sad that you could go in that Reddit and no one recognizes you, the creator.
Yeah, the God.
And you're just like moping. Like they might even rob you or kill you. And they wouldn't know, they're just like killing their Jesus.
I know, just a stranger on a bus trying to get some votes.
But it's also like, it kind of shows like maybe the inspiration that God had to like remind humanity that he created them. Like maybe you need to like copy that. Maybe you need to like send down a couple of tablets and something to really like create.
I thought you were going to say, do a flood, murder,
that
murder some people arbitrarily.
When they don't listen to what you wrote in the tablets about recognizing you and how fabulous you are, you get to flood them.
You know what?
Are you like the Q of Bad Hasbara?
Dude, basically, I am the Q. I mean,
you should just start creating drops. Everyone's like, what the fuck? What?
Yeah, all my Q drops are just me saying, please like and subscribe. What if we're just God's content? You ever think about that?
Whoa,
shit, dude.
What if we're all monetized?
Yo, dude, that's crazy. But I want to thank you so much, Raph, for being here because, you're someone who I've wanted to get on the podcast for a while. And you're also how I touch base with what's going on in New York. And it seems to be these days that New York is sort of a mecca for a lot of the anti-Zionist, anti-occupation, anti-genocide gatherings, protests, encampments, what have you. Yeah. And every time I look at your Instagram, I get jealous. I get real jealous. It looks like, goddamn, it looks like a lot of fun. It looks like the place to be.
And that's always like, man. Yeah. All these, anti-Zionist Jews in Brooklyn know what's up.
They all know
it's Queens.
Yeah, and it just feels like, it's like we have a lot of great solidarity here in Los Angeles, but nothing beats the Big Apple. So what's it been like? How's it been?
It's been, we've had a long, and Francesca was, of course, part of like the assembly of all this, like from the anti-war activists in like NYU there, and then into Occupy and into all the things. We kept being trained and retrained, and a lot of things emerged here from all of those different movements. So I am really lucky to be, and also sometimes it's a little hard because once you leave the bubble, you face reality, and a lot of people are not there yet. But in this case, which is refreshing, is most people are with us if they're explained to in the simplest term possible, without the Hasbara, without the racism, without the capitalism, really just purely delivered. Yes. These are children being murdered. Yes. Do you support children being murdered? And the answer is nearly unanimously no.
Yeah, the answer is depends.
Right. But it is like when I was in the anti-war movement 2003 and 2005, and I was at NYU, and thank you so much for the shout out. I mean, I obviously orchestrated all this.
You were like the god of the anti-war movement.
I really was. Yeah. No, but we could have never imagined the campus police calling in the NYPD on us. They were around, and there were some scuffles in certain moments. Mm-hmm. But I think the level of cooperation is truly disgusting. But I will say on the flip side, the militancy of some of these specifically Jewish-led actions, whether it's Grand Central Station shutting down. I mean, that, we had February 15th, 2003, where basically the entire city was shut down from anti-war protesters. But like these targeted actions, I think, have been so inspiring, and mass targeted action. When was Rachel Corrie killed? In 2005, I think. Friends of mine locked down on the Upper West Side. Full chicken wire, like arms locked down, and about 10 of them, and they were very hostilely treated. They were in the Diamond District, so like they knew where they were. They had coffee thrown on them, but I'm just like, if I like to imagine that we were sowing the seeds, and that so much of the work around Palestine solidarity has been a long slog that finally we are seeing the beautiful fruits of in how mainstream it's all become. But also I do feel like New York actions tend to be really disempowering just because there's so much cop presence. Yeah. But lately, I mean, and you've seen that in Colombia, but I do feel like some of them have been breaking through, like, oh no, this is like legit beautiful. Like I said, Grand Central Station, fuck,
I mean, we hit them to such a point where they were tired of arresting us. There was no more room.
Damn.
And sometimes that actually backfires a little bit because like there's all these little intricacies of like the mass arrests where they're going to bring out flexi cuffs because they don't have enough handcuffs. Right. And so in the flexi cuffs, they don't want to take them on and off when you go to jail. So they just leave them on you the whole time you're there. So people are now have permanent injuries, nerve damage and things like that from being 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours in flexi cuffs behind their back. But yeah, totally overwhelming the system. The funniest part about it is, I don't know if it's a recent development, Francesca, but when we're arrested now, in Grand Central and the Statue of Liberty and all of this in front of Schumer's house, whose co-op now hates him and wants him out because of us. So there's this new thing. I think it's new. I don't know. Maybe I didn't notice it before. But now the cop that arrests you during an action has to follow you through the system. So from every jail you go to, every car you go to, everything. And then there's this point where you stand like a prom picture, like you both take a picture near each other.
No, and they've got like their arm around you, just like awkwardly.
They're just like, you're just like taking it. They're like there, like it's a picture that's just like deserving of a corsage. I'm gonna try to get like a.
That's amazing.
I'll try to do like a freedom of information of like some of our arrests and just like Photoshop them.
Oh, that would be so sick to have that.
They're exhausted. Yeah.
I remember my arresting officer from the RNC back in 2004. O'Doyle, that bitch.
Fucking O'Doyle.
Fucking O'Doyle.
O'Doyle does not rule.
No, he does not. I kept on just like yelling his name, and they clearly had gone to sleep. Like he went home we were like in like a pier over on Pier 51 or some shit on the west side. But yeah, that is.
O'Doyle.
I mean, it's so crazy, like how politicizing it is too, like how radicalizing it is once you do get arrested and then you're suddenly in the system, and then suddenly you're in like jail 100%. With like random like nonviolent drug offenders, and you just
Yeah, and
it's like most of the jail time I've had was with deliveristas, people who are delivering fast food. And are nabbed up constantly by the police because they're on like a motorized vehicle, like a scooter or something like that. And it's just like, it's unbelievable. Like,
so you're saying that like some people like aren't getting their seamless?
Yeah, so like the cop will call Seamless, get his food, and then arrest the person. Like,
and then eat the food?
Yeah, and then eat the food.
Fucking pigs. That's why we call them pigs, y'all.
O'Doyle.
But it's O'Doyle doing it.
We should just whisper next time.
Eat all his Panda Express.
next time you just be like, the real Irish hate you, O'Doyle.
Yeah, I know, right?
You're not.
Oh
real
God,
Irish.
just the gap, the valley between American Irish and the real Irish is so wide, it's insane.
It is wild. Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's interesting. We talk about kind of like the actions that have been going on in college campuses, and the way that it's talked about. It's so funny, and speaking of gaps and like valleys in terms of narrative, the narrative between what is like put out by the media and what is actually happening on the ground couldn't be wider. And I've seen this a lot, obviously, with like in the past however many months it's been. At this point I've lost count. Just like the way that every accusation is a confession. I mean, at this point, it's all so cliche. I'm embarrassed to say it, but it's like a math proof at this point. Like whatever is being put out there by the Hasbaras, the opposite is happening. And I think no point kind of crystallizes that. Nothing crystallizes that more than the claim of outside agitators, which is what we're going to be talking about today for a good portion of the show. So I don't know if you guys have heard this, if you've seen this, or if you've heard about this, but right now, outside agitators are going through New York, radicalizing our children and telling them genocide is bad. And there was recently a press conference with your own mayor, Raph, Mr.
Our nightclub mayor.
Yes. Why is he a nightclub mayor?
All he does is hang out at nightclubs at night when these like ridiculous suits and
I did not know that about Eric Adams.
Oh yeah. We know his food orders are always like, I think it's some sort of fish, and he's
a big fish at the nightclub guy.
He's like a fish, like a bony fish,
smelly tuna. I want something smelly as fuck.
He's just that's very much next to like guy who microwaves fish in the office.
Yes, exactly.
Guy who orders fish in the. Also, like he's such an old dude in the club. Like you know what I mean? Like when I was in New York, you'd like go to a club and it's like, this is tight. Who's the old guy?
Yeah. And why does he keep hollering at me? And why does he keep picking his teeth with the fish bone?
He does have that aesthetic that he's projecting, where he's in the back of the club sitting at a table, and people constantly come to him, and he likes that. He likes that energy.
That's why he ran for mayor. He's just like, I've always wanted to be approached in a booth.
Free bottle service.
Free bottle service, and also I just want to hold court at my local club.
Well, there's a theory. There's an organizing theory here that if we give him a nightclub job good enough, that he would leave the office.
I love that. You guys, honestly,
we're going at it at every angle.
You got to try everything you can. But he said this recently regarding the protests that were happening specifically at Columbia, but also just all over the city. And I have a clip for y'all right here.
Movement to radicalize young people, and I'm not going to wait until it's done and all of a sudden acknowledge the existence of it. After speaking with them throughout the week, at their request and their acknowledgement that outside agitators were on their grounds training and really co-opting this movement, at their request, we went in and conducted an operation to allow Columbia University to remove those who have turned the peaceful protest into a place where anti-Semitism and anti-Israel attitudes were pervasive.
Attitudes.
Yeah.
Always the most dangerous.
The most dangerous. Well, it starts with the attitudes.
It does.
At first, they came for my attitude, and I said nothing because I was a rude boy.
I mean, is he describing the cops? Because that's literally like people who invaded the...
We're arresting people based on their resting anti-Semite face.
Right. Yeah. Which they're arresting anti-Semite skin tone.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, so, you see that, and there's been all over the place. You've been seeing this talk that outside agitators, and this is an old tactic at this point. I mean,
it's funny because normally when they say outside agitators, they mean Jews, but now they're representing Jews, so they can't say it. So it has to be this ambiguous outside agitator thing.
I mean, listen, say what you will about the current state of anti-Semitism discourse. At least we're not being called the outside agitators. Oh, wait.
Finally.
We are. Because one of the things that they like to point out in terms of the outside agitation forces in college campuses is they specifically like to point out Jewish Palestine solidarity groups, like If Not Now, or Jewish Voice for Peace. In fact, there was an article in Politico that came out recently, maybe 2 days ago, pointing out the nefarious funders of these pro-Palestine solidarity groups, Jewish groups, and it said pro-Palestine protesters are backed by a surprising source, Biden's biggest donors. Some of the most outspoken groups against Biden and Israel get funding from foundations attached to some of the biggest names in Democratic circles.
Fuck you.
Yeah, so
fuck you. That's so. This makes me so fucking mad.
It's a very particular type of Hasbara in terms of that spin is kind of it works on two fronts. It's almost like two for the price of one, because one for anyone who's on the right who loves the paid protesters meme. They love the idea that there's no such thing as a protest that can happen organically. It must be astroturfed by Soros. It gives you that. In fact, it names both George Soros and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation as being part of the nefarious funders. And the other thing it does is it says to those protesters and to anyone out there who at this point is just like, what is Biden doing? I don't know if I'm going to vote this year, because they're just like, I just can't bring myself to vote for such a genocidal maniac. It also is like, well, actually, Biden does support you. In fact, he's funding you. It's two for the price of one in terms of their Hasbara goals.
It doesn't. It doesn't matter. They'll say every argument that is conflicting. There's this term we use called Schrodinger's protester, where on one side we're being told that we're unemployed losers with nothing to do, and on the other side we're these paid protesters. So
professionals.
Professionals. Yeah.
Well, also the idea that protesters are lazy. I mean, this is the Jonathan Goldblatt right? Was that his name? Greenblatt? Yeah.
Oh, Greenblatt.
Yeah, Greenblatt, who's just like, you know,
Wrong
the
color,
uncommitted
black.
voter.
Blats come in many colors.
Yeah,
yeah.
green and gold.
There's,
But yeah, you know, that are just like, that they're so lazy. That's why they're coordinated in a no confidence vote and getting out the vote to send a specific message to Joe Biden. Like,
Yes.
no, you can't have it both ways. To me, this article is it's not about, look, Biden supports you. It is a way to strip funding from these organizations. This is
100%.
an absolute campaign to say, look, George Soros and look, Bill and Melinda Gates, you better stay in line. Don't fund Jewish peace groups.
Yeah.
Because you look like you're anti-Semitic right now. And it's so insidious, and we've seen this done time and time again, but you know, who knows? I mean, I don't think the Soros Foundation or Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation are like down enough. Maybe Soros, meaning like
Soros is the closest, but you know, it's interesting. I need to point out there's a kicker at the end.
oh,
of
there's
this.
a lot of there's a huge kicker.
And the huge kicker is the fact that Politico today issued a minor retraction regarding this. They said, correction, an earlier version of this report misstated that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation seeds the Tides Foundation's work. It no longer has active grants to Tides. It also said Politico contacted Gates. No, it didn't. Politico contacted an agency that has represented the Gates, the Gates Foundation, but did not reach out directly to Gates. And it said, if not now, was one of the two main organizations behind the protests. If not now, is supporting protests, but the students are leading them. So
No one's going to read this correction. I mean, this is the thing. It's like, it doesn't fucking matter. It's all a way to prevent any funds from going to anyone who would dare say Palestinian human rights.
how do you not just write an opposite article?
Yeah.
You can't
Take it down. I mean, the same thing with the screams without words or whatever the
If
fuck.
only
New
we
York
had
Times.
an
Just take it down.
organization against defamation, maybe a league
Right.
that could correct.
Someone's got to invent that. Someone's got to figure out a way to, you know, a league or something of people who are just trying to stop defamation from happening against Jewish student groups.
It's about
maybe.
time. Yeah, it's about time we have that.
But yeah, it's just crazy because it's like you see, you know, again, this math proof of accusations and confessions.
Well, the thing is, they could take every single dollar out of If Not Now and JVP, and that will not affect the campus protesters
At
because
all.
Those are all students.
Yeah, yes. And because also these groups are not well funded. I'm sorry.
they're not.
Yes,
but
that is
I've been
true,
to events put
considering-
on by both, and they ain't got the money.
No,
They're nice people, and they do fucking fantastic work. But come on, guys, please, you know, get a better sound system or something.
And that's actually by design. Like, no matter how good the billionaire is, they're still billionaires. And being independent from money is always better. And even if we struggle, like we do at If Not Now, people donate spaces when we do trainings. I'm like a volunteer for filming and like things like there's, you know, it's very grassroots. There are people who fund like programmatic things that we do.
But isn't that, I mean, that's what's so fucked about it, is that the right can completely astroturf an entire movement, like the Koch brothers astroturfed the Tea Party. You know, you could have the Republican Party paying for buses to go to the Capitol on January 6th, you know, Charlie Kirk included, whatever, all these right-wing organizations, and that's all fine and dandy. But again, yes, they're the like, and again with the like, and we don't have to get into the BLM stuff, but this like, the vow of poverty that leftist organizations are supposed to take, and like the rejection of money they're supposed to offer up, I think is such bullshit and bad faith. And we understand this is not the 60s and 70s. We don't have the social safety net that we once did, where people could like, you know, go on and off of welfare or like, you know, unemployment and then support like literal movements. No, we're in a much different era, and people have to fucking eat. And so I remember like when I didn't get any money for when I worked at Left Turn magazine, but we sold T-shirts that were like anti-capitalista.
Yes.
And at like, one of the dirty, crusty conferences we were at, someone was like, "Oh, you're selling a shirt that says anti-capitalist?" Like, fuck you, dog. Like, this is why we can't have anything nice. Like,
nothing's a bigger self-own than that, because that is that's a complete lack of understanding of what capitalism is versus that's just trade. That's sorry, that's commerce.
Sorry, we're not post money right now.
Yeah, right.
It's related to how is like your Hasbara intro. Like you can't criticize. Like, oh, are you going to criticize Israel on your cell phone?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, you're gonna sit here and tell me Israel is an apartheid state while you have a heart stent inside your body.
Exactly. What's that meme? Like, we should improve society somewhat. And then someone says, yet you participate in society. Curious. I'm very intelligent.
It's true. And speaking of participating in society and being bad,
Drake, are we on to Drake? I mean, where he participates apparently is too young. But,
No, I'm right now. We got to participate in some capitalism by taking a quick commercial break.
Yes.
So stick around, listen to these ads for fertilizer and border patrol, McDonald's. Remember,
sorry to break it to you, but I was listening and it was McDonald's.
I'm okay with that. Here's the thing. Listen, BDS McDonald's, fine. But if they want to give me money to tell you to eat a burger you're not going to eat, I'm happy. But stick around. We'll be right back. And we're back. We are talking about outside agitators. And, I think the biggest outside agitator that anyone who has actually been on any of these encampments or protests is clearly coming from the Zionist point of view. And you see that in terms of like the amount of press that any single either, Zionist or Israeli student can get, or just outside Israeli group can get just by manufacturing some violent thing that didn't happen to them. Mm-hmm. So I have a few examples of that. One of them is a poor student who was at Columbia who was blinded in a brutal flag attack. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but it's it's just one of those tragic things that happens, in when anti-Semitism rears its ugly head. And so here is that student on Fox News telling their harrowing tale.
Protests turning violent, injuring our next guest. She wrote a column on this saying, quote, "I was stabbed in the eye at Yale."
And on Barry Weiss's newspaper.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, there's no connection there in terms of ideology. No. That's just. I also
it's literally a false flag.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, it's so true. I also love the not burying the lead. In terms of what are you going to name this article? I was stabbed in the eye.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, when they conspired, they were like, "How do we do a false flag operation?" They're like, "What about a flag?
What about an actual flag falsely hitting my eye?" Oh, that is so great. And they continue. Here we go.
Waved a Palestinian flag in my face and then jabbed me in my left eye. They tore down the American flag from the flagpole, and it took days for them to face minimal repercussions. Today there were some arrests, and then many of the students who were arrested were then released to return to a protest.
Yeah, lock them away
really
forever.
Yeah.
You,
you know what I always say at the Free Press? Sometimes you got to do life in prison for people burning flag. Yeah. I've always said that as someone who is classic liberal. What these fools believe in nothing. I love.
Also, she's like way too young to do that like old man Yiddish cadence that she's doing. She's like obviously trying to impress her dad or someone.
Yeah,
like, and then they let him go.
Yeah. Oh, they're great. Now they're gonna go around.
Yeah, this is very much the right winger that never learned how to think for themselves.
Yeah.
She is like. Well, she's getting too much press, but I otherwise would be like, she's like 2 years away from becoming an anti-Zionist.
Oh no!
Oh yeah,
but she's getting too much, accolades for all this.
Listen,
bullshit.
I would love to believe that was the case, but sometimes people
stay bad.
They stay bad. Just to show the video, because I think it's important to see this brutal attack. At this point, I'm sure people have already seen all this, but let's show it in case.
This is only for premium users on Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
That's
You
right.
gotta zoom them real close to see the stab.
Oh, this is brutal. If you have young children around, please get them out of the room. So in this video, you see the student is holding her camera up at some people who are wearing masks and some who are not. And there's chanting going on. Disclose, divest, which are anti-Semitic code words for, Jews run the banks or something. So she's standing there, and then this happens. Someone walks by with a Palestinian flag, and
What?
Oh, you
you stabbed me.
Oh my god, I've never seen this video.
Oh,
You've never
no,
seen
this
it?
is...
It's so great. Let's roll that back again. Let's see this brutal attack.
Oh my god. That's like one of those like flags on a straw. Like even if you did,
Totally. It's about to fall off.
Well, to be fair,
Boing.
she is related to that turtle who had that straw up its nose. The one who famously made it so we all have to have paper straws, and I'm tired of the paper straws.
This look, as a younger sister, I recognize this move.
Yeah, me too.
So
Me too.
hard.
As a
Just
professional soccer player.
Ellie, you hurt me! Oh, mom! Like, why? The fact that she's not saying "mom" in the next breath, like,
so true. I as someone who has an older brother, I played this a lot. I was very much, it was very much he cries in pain as he strikes you. This is something that a Nazi once said to me, like online. It was like, yeah, the Jew cries in pain as he strikes you, and I was just like, first of all, that's fucked up. Second of all, I did do that a lot to my older brother because I would like hit him and then immediately.
Wow.
Anyways, the point is,
that is what she is calling being assaulted, stabbed in the eye, has had many appearances on Piers Morgan. I saw her on Fox News. She's had all these op-eds about it.
Have they played the video on it or no?
No, they never
of course
play
not.
the video. They never play the video.
No, because then they'd be like, so when you say stabbed, do you mean had a flag flutter near you?
Yeah.
But it's crazy because, guys, this is not the first literal false flag. Earlier in this conflict, in this war, we'll call it fair war. There was another person who pulled a very similar thing, and it's just like you got to see it to believe it, because you're just this shit is great. Here's another person doing this.
Dude, don't hit me with your flag. Hit me with that flag again and see what happens.
Oh my God.
All right, let's play it.
Dude, don't hit me with that flag. False accusations. Hit me with that flag.
No. If you are listening, you have to know this is a man who
You see him?
headbutts a flag. He just nods himself into the flag.
To the flappiest part. Again, go near the pole, you fucking pussies. Like, if you're going to pretend that you were injured, you gotta at least injure yourself. It's like a kamikaze pilot who just lands and goes, ow! You can't land.
How long can they keep up this thing where they simultaneously are like, we're the tough Jews, we're not the sheep who go into the slaughter, and then at the same time, like, I'm scared. Like, it's like, how long can these two things coexist before something just explodes? I think
You would think that the effect of the constant, like, verifiable lying would slow people in like corporate news media from like giving a platform to these like obvious agitators, but they don't. And this woman is no different. She is an agitator. This is what she does. I was trying to remember how I knew this name. because I was like, I've heard this name before. It could be anyone. Maybe I know someone from my past, whatever. No, this very student who is faking being stabbed in the eye was part of the infamous in leftist Jewish spaces incident of the Israeli salad discourse that happened at Yale earlier. This was, I think, in November of last year, where basically there was a day of talking about how they had renamed the Israeli salad something else, like Mediterranean salad, and like here I have the this is the tweet. It says first, it's quote tweeted from Sahar, who is the stabbed in the eye lady at Yale. The years old popular Israeli couscous salad with spinach and tomatoes has been renamed in our dining halls as the exact same dish, but without the word Israel, which is incredible because this was, for me,
This was after October 7th.
Yes, after October
this was
7th.
Like, well, when everyone was like, oh, the civilian casualties are on pace to reach like 30,000. Like the atrocities were already running. Like,
no, people already knew what was happening, and people already were, the limited amounts of people, but still people early on were like, we all see where this is going. They're speaking genocidally, and this is a nation that does not care about the lives of Palestinians. And then, we would see in the news all these horrible atrocities day after day. But at Yale, they had renamed the salad. And it's just like,
which they didn't. Which
Yeah,
then
well,
she
right.
was
They did that
fact-checked
to,
and was like,
they did that to
didn't.
me too. Like they do that, like the whole thing. Mizrahi Jews were all like, I'm from Uzbekistan, so I'm
Yeah.
Uzbek Jew. And there's like Iranian Jews, Egyptian Jews, Arab Jews, and they just renamed all of us to basically Mediterranean Jews. Or
love
like
it.
Actually, Mizrahi literally means Oriental.
we were gonna just call you brown, so consider yourself lucky.
That's really funny.
Yeah. I mean, and it's crazy because it's like,
Is it actually a thing to call someone a Mediterranean Jew?
I mean,
Well,
this
no,
is like
I
the
mean-
equivalent. Yeah, it's Mizrahi.
Mizrahi is the Middle Eastern.
Sort of. Okay.
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
just it's the way of stripping any kind of like
I mean, it's Eastern. Yeah, Eastern.
right, Eastern, exactly. It's a way of like stripping out the complexities of Jewish origin and the way that like Jews have lived in different states in the
Because
Middle East.
we lived, or Bukharian Jews like me lived in almost entirely in peace with a Sunni Muslim majority in Uzbekistan and Tajikistan for thousands of years. And you don't really want that story out there.
You're right. Yeah, because the story of the quote Mizrahi Jews has to be parallel with the Nazis. It has to be in parallel with Christian European anti-Semitism, if not worse, because that otherwise, you can't raise a entire country of people to hate another people if you don't tell them, well, they hated you first.
The outside agitators thing is just wild to me because it was happening. I mean, forget the fact that like it's been a week since that false flag, literal false flag. And since then, we've seen just an absolute brutal crackdown on students, including the removal of hijab of Muslim students by police officers.
Yes.
As Raph mentioned, we're now getting reports of just how long the Columbia students were held without food, water, like 16 hours and whatnot. And the day, well, the thing is that like all the kids at Columbia were like, oh, there's outside agitators. They literally found none.
Right.
Eric Adams has not produced a single outside agitator. The next day, or that very night, UCLA is attacked by pro-Israel Zionist mobs throwing firecrackers at them.
Fireworks.
Not students. They were not
actual
counter-students.
outside agitators.
Yes.
And then we're just supposed to
With an Israeli intelligence officer with them.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. And we are supposed to bragging about it bragging that they're former special ops or whatever for the Israeli military, and we're just supposed to continue believing their definition of outside agitators, which just applies to pro-Palestinian protesters.
In New York, in the smaller stories when they came out, the NYPD actually first seeded a story saying that there was a wife or some kind of spouse of a terrorist at Columbia. And the first question everyone asked was like, well, why don't you then just go get, like, first of all, if they're the wife, whatever. But then, why don't you just go and get them?
Right. Oh, wait, are they
terrorists?
Is there like a warrant for their arrest or something?
Exactly.
Is it?
And then the story became, we have evidence that there's outsiders, and the evidence they produced was a big bicycle lock. And I'm not even joking, because they use the bicycle locks to lock the doors from getting attacked, and not just from police, getting attacked by those mobs that would attack UCLA. So if you're encamping and sleeping somewhere, you want protection. So there's like a night watch and there's chains, and they said these chains are foreign. These are basically foreign to Columbia University, and these are evidence that there was outside.
They're Hamas chains.
Yeah. And then, you have the clip?
I have the clip. I mean, this is just great. This is
when we entered Hamilton Hall. This is not what students bring to school. Okay, this is what professionals bring to campuses and universities. These are
this is what a tough guy brings in Michael Jackson's Bad music video.
Those are the chains. They're actually there's a chain like that from the same brand from Kryptonite called Forget About It, because that's what you need in New York so your bike doesn't get stolen.
Yes,
that's so funny.
Yes, in the city that probably per capita has the most bike thefts in the world. They're just like, no student would ever bring something this secure.
Yeah, it's so heavy. I've had that
student who rides a bike.
Yeah, there is more.
Heavy industrial chains that were locked with bike locks, and this is what we encountered.
Are you sure that they were locked with bike locks, or that the whole thing is in a bike lock? And also,
bike lock was like with bike lock.
The idea that they would be like, listen, I'm okay if you want to like close off a building with like a really meek zip tie or maybe some string. But if you bring something like this, it says that you really, really don't want us in there. And I don't like that. It's like,
yeah, you must have like a really valid reason for taking this extreme of an action. What could it be?
This is supposed to be political theater, and you guys brought a really, really good chain. In fact, it's a foreign chain.
In fact, the update is Columbia University sells those locks to its students, like on their official store.
Really?
Yes.
Of course.
Of course.
So
But
I don't know how
worry.
we got to the bike lock part, but they kept changing their story.
Yeah.
And then they actually changed it even more and said, like, the kids are being indoctrinated from outside, and that's why they're just constantly changing the goalposts. And,
but like, I mean, that again, this entire thing is just like I have the deep sinking feeling, which is this is liberals handing the far right the keys to undo whatever is left of, our intellectual institutions, freedom, real freedom of speech, real places of safe learning.
Yes.
And they are, you got fucking Morning Joe, just like, here you go, have at it, Elise Stefanik, because this is completely bad faith. And the outside agitators, Zionists have been calling Zionist spies, which, by the way, are now being considered at a federal level to get money to do that on these fucking schools. Zionist spies have already been calling professors the infiltrators, books they read, the propaganda, and this is all
and their own
it's
students.
Like, did you think the war on woke and the banning books, was that ridiculous to you? No, because now liberal Zionists are like, you know what? Actually, I agree with that.
100%.
We should ban certain books.
Yes.
We should ban certain professors from teaching certain realities.
There is this great passage when Trump got elected by this journalist Jamel Bowie.
Yeah.
And he like took up Hannah Arendt's like writing about fascist propaganda. And I'm not going to read her version of it because it's just like but he broke it down in a very plain way, which is brilliant. And he wrote, Fascists didn't lie to obscure the truth. They lied to signal what they would eventually make the truth. Or to use Arendt's analogy, it is as though one were to debate with a potential murderer as to whether his future victim were dead or alive, completely forgetting that man can kill and that the murderer, by killing the person in question, could promptly provide proof of the correctness of that statement. So,
100%.
Basically, fascist propaganda, it's not a lie. It's like their public plan.
Here's the new truth.
Here's the new truth. Yes, exactly.
And in fact, if you really examine the way Adam speaks about every issue, he's speaking always to elder parents that vote for him, like elders.
Yes.
And all of this is because, like, if you look at the polls of the campuses, even among the Jewish students, a certain percentage of them are going to say they're uncomfortable in school right now. And let's say it's like 30-20% in different polls. But then when you poll their same very parents, 80% of them are. So like if you tell the parents now, some of your kids don't even know they're in danger.
Right.
They're being they're being trained. Like that's when you're going to get people to pull out students and ask for tuition back. And really, the long game always has been to get rid of our higher education.
Yep.
Yes, and this has been one of the prime targets of AIPAC and Israel lobby,
like Project Canary. I didn't talk about
Canary Mission.
Canary Mission. When I say Zionist spies,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Canary Mission is one we need to do an entire episode on because it is almost entirely focused on trying to defame students, and to defame anyone who speaks out on in support of Palestinians.
And we didn't really have this back in 2003 to harken back. Like we had the beginnings of a divestment movement at NYU, but we definitely weren't doxxed to this degree, and it just shows just how strong the movement is.
Yes,
even though it feels like we are the students are on the back foot. This is all desperation.
Yes.
And again, Hakeem Jeffries wants there to be some new bill which basically gives federal funds again to the likes of Canary Mission, because they're not going to start anti-Semitic investigators squads from the ground up. They're just gonna give money to the people who are literally already doing it.
Yeah. So the idea, when you go on Al, the security will check Canary Mission with your name, and in fact, the solution, I think, so it's easy for me to say because when I got on it, I have all these platforms on social media. I could just defend myself. But for a lot of people, Canary Mission and StopAntisemitism.org are which does the same thing, are the first result or the only result on their Google to their name.
Exactly.
So that's completely devastating.
That's
in terms
wild.
of career. But then no one really reads. If you click it, they're like anti-Semitic. And then what they do very cleverly, is they position you near actual. So they'll put David Duke up one week,
right,
and then put you next to it. But then if you read your article, all you did was tweet about Benjamin Netanyahu's an asshole.
Right,
and I hate Benjamin Netanyahu, and they're like, oh, the one Jewish president in the world.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Basically those kind of things. For me, they started because
Zelensky.
I was in a If Not Now in 2014 Gaza attack. I was at a If Not Now thing where we read the names of the dead, and we did a mourner's Kaddish in Hebrew for everyone, including soldiers of IDF, including militants from Palestinian militants, everyone. And they basically called me anti-Semitic for using Jewish tradition to honor terrorists.
Because you were doing it Jewishly.
That's crazy.
First of all, if you want to talk about using Jewish tradition to honor terrorists, isn't that the entire premise of the state of Israel?
For me to say this is easy. So that's all set up to really the solution to Canary Mission is Canary Mission, because what's going to happen when they fund it is they're going to accuse everyone, and it's not going to mean anything anymore. Now I'm on a list with Trevor Noah. Right. And I was just on antisemitism.com, and I'm just Okay, I guess like this is kind of cool.
I mean, sick. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty sick list to be on. Yeah, and that's like the crazy thing about it is, and the dangerous thing about it is, that the way that this ends up is people do not believe anti-Semitism is a real thing.
Yeah.
Which is not a good thing for people to think, because there is anti-Semitism. It definitely exists. And, if you're Jewish, you've probably experienced it legitimately versus experienced discomfort with the fact that all of your ideas about Israel were fake.
My question to these people are, what is worse? Someone who is the anti-Semite, like the Nazis marching on the streets everywhere right now that no one's reporting on.
Yeah.
If someone's like arming themselves and marching and want to kill the Jews, and who's worse? The person trying to kill us as Jews, or the person telling me not to look there?
Right. Yeah.
While someone comes at me. Like,
that
person, that Jonathan Greenblatt is actually yours. And Morning Joe had Jonathan Greenblatt on, and Jonathan Greenblatt, without any challenge or retort or anything, not even an eye roll, Jonathan Greenblatt said on his show that the Columbia students are basically, he said, the proxies of Iran are Hezbollah in Lebanon, and also the campus students are proxies of Iran.
Guess what I have?
That the presidents and the campus administrators across the country started again simply saying, you got to play by the rules. I mean, talk about the height of entitlement, right? Thinking that you can just act with impunity wherever you want. It's funny. We're talking about Iran a few minutes ago. Iran has their military proxies like Hezbollah, and Iran has their campus proxies like these groups like SJP and JVP. Look at them. This is literally like a demonstration in Tehran, and you can't believe it's happening in Morningside Heights. So, as you know, President Shafiq testified before Congress.
It's like
Heights.
The fucking absolute disgrace of a human being this guy is, Jonathan Greenblatt. And listen, the ADL, for a while has been essentially a proxy for the Israel lobby. They've been lobbyists for Israel. That's what they've been doing for a long time.
There's a whole history on droptheadl.com. There's a whole history of how they've been going after all of our movements, Black Lives Matter, everyone, even anti-war back in the day. Like, they were actually never good. And there's a big myth that they were, and they lost their way, but they were always like pro-surveillance, pro-infiltration, always had relationships with the FBI and against like Black Panthers. And
what is the name of that website again?
Droptheadl.com, I think it's .com. Yeah.
I love it. That's very interesting.
Droptheadl.org.
Droptheadl.org. Because it's for me, it's something that I've always wanted to do a little bit of research into, because of the fact that much like you grow up with a narrative about Israel, you also grow up with a narrative about the ADL, specifically being this this organization that exists to protect Jews, period, right? Mm-hmm. And, so for me, just having that belief and then watching this rapid descent into just being mouthpieces for the Israeli government has been like insane. Because you just go like, the
self-awareness is so, like, even the ADL staff, which actually does, like, we get leaks from the ADL all the time, because the ADL staff is actually, like, some people who's like believed in the mission and signed up, and they're like these analytical, like, beautiful super nerds that are like going to get down to like the fact they want to be investigators, they want to be analysts, and they got into this job. It pays really well. It's hard to jump out, but people are jumping out. Their most senior staff have been leaving in droves. However, like, one of the big leaks was when Jonathan Greenblatt basically asked his team to investigate what would happen if we started to advocate for laws against BDS, like for this free speech of boycott, divest, and sanction. And the report said it would put Jews in danger, because people, the regular old, Americans will be like, wow, we had this thing called freedom of speech until the Jews tore it up.
Right.
And therefore now I hate Jews.
Right.
And basically he then tried to kill the report before they leaked it to us. And if you look it up, like ADL leaked BDS report, like you'll
this
see.
would backfire on us. This would spark more.
And then what he did was go forward with recommending that BDS become
right, because the mission is not actually protecting Jews from anti-Semitism or stopping the spread of anti-Semitism. The mission is protecting Israel at all costs, which is like
instrumentalize anti-Semitism.
Anti-Semitism is nothing but a tool for the continuation of American support for Israel, and it's just like that's so insidious. Like that's this is why when people talk about anti-Semitism, it makes me blow a fucking fuse, because I'm just like, do you understand that you're actively supporting the largest anti-Semitic machine in the world right now? Like,
Absolutely.
holy fuck.
Yeah, I mean, also the Fantasia of anti-Semitism, the sorcerers.
Yeah, straight up.
Also, just like the lack of self-awareness. For example, this last weekend was the anniversary of Kent State, where the National Guard killed 4 students. 3 of them were Jewish. And like just the idea that Jonathan Greenblatt is basically okay with killing all of these very overrepresented Jewish campus participants, that's okay. And it makes sense when you see how they first dehumanized us, the left Jews. Like Jonathan Greenblatt himself said that we are a mirror image of basically Nazis, and
scumbag.
So there was this like very intricate steps that are very logical, like first dehumanize them, then make sure that they're not Jewish, then now they can get killed and no one will care. Jews, at least, that only care about Jewish people will not care.
Right.
I mean, what's crazy is that like obviously Israel's become even more and more of a pariah state, but I can only imagine being a young American Jew, like, has this endeared me to this country at all? Like, no, not in the slightest. If there was a wedge and a rift between a generational rift in the Jewish American community when it comes to support for Israel, this has only deepened it extremely.
Yeah.
And then, back to to me, the bigger thing about the students is around, again, the dismantling of higher education that the right has wanted to do, and the right does now have an in as they make this about DEI, as they make this about so much more than just about Israel. And you see that in the ways that USC, Columbia just canceled their commencements. These people are canceling these graduations.
Yeah.
They are self-canceling.
Yeah.
rather than, and so that's the other thing. It's like, again, we're making the country Florida.
Yeah.
Whereas these same people mocked Ron DeSantis there's no more books in the library.
Yeah.
So there's no more way to be accused of being a groomer. The same shit with higher education. If there is no higher education, well, then you don't have any more campus protests. If you don't have a graduation, well, then you don't risk someone wearing a keffiyeh to the graduation.
Which is a scary Arab word for terrorist scarf.
Matt, I see a Floridification, Californication parody song.
Oh, shit. Oh, yeah, it's not a bad idea. Smoking meth with crocodiles makes me feel like I'm going on vacation.
Speaking of going on vacation, why? Like, this is like one of the, like, fashion. Like, every time I see these Israelis on the news, they all look like they're going on vacation. Like they're like flip-flop shorts. Like
Constantly.
If you look like you're going on vacation in a country you're saying you're indigenous to, you're
I know it is.
lying.
Yeah,
Like,
it is weird. It is weird to always wear a shirt that says Israel on it when you live in Israel. It's like showing up to
Also,
a band
like,
you like with the merch on. It's a faux pas.
When the sun itself is like resisting you from being there, like
Yeah,
you might
I know.
just like maybe get the message.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so one of the things we talked about, or one of the things that you see a lot is kind of this, at least when they talk about the college campus protesters, the idea that they keep covering their faces. And it's almost, they try to point that out as kind of like, see, this is what they're afraid. They're like the Charlottesville protesters or like the KKK who never want to show their face. And it's like, it's crazy because it is so clearly this bad faith attempt to try to compare these kids with Nazis, but also because they know full well why anyone would want to protect their identity. And nothing, I mean, this next Hasbara says it pretty much out loud. This is a guy named Eli Civis, who is a student over at UCLA, who is an agitator, someone who is framing themselves as like, oh, I'm just some Jewish student on campus, and they won't let me through. And he was on Fox News recently, and I have a clip of him.
Oh, this guy, yeah, I know this guy.
Yes. I have a clip of him talking with some very great reporters.
A student wearing a Star of David necklace is denied entry to the campus.
But I'm sorry. Can we start with like a student wearing a Star of David necklace is denied? Like editorially, just such obvious fucking spin. He wasn't denied because he was wearing a Star of David. It's just, oh God, these scumbags.
By masked pro-Palestinian activists. Watch this.
I have my ID right here. I'm being blocked off, not by the security guard, but by you two. You three. Oh, look, they're making their burger while I'm going this way. Excuse me. This is what they do. Everybody, look at this. Look at this.
So I take the same path to class every single day. And when I got there,
Hasbara, Matt Rife. Like, who is it?
Why do they keep casting like people from like 1990s, like
I know
date rapists? Like, why is that?
It's like
totally.
Everyone, they all looked. They were like they were in a Boy Meets World TV movie.
Yeah.
Students, not a security guard, but by these students. I showed them my ID and I said, "This is the way I entered a class. Please let me in." When they refused, I quickly understood what was happening.
Were you tempted just to divide them? I mean, because you're larger than they are. It looks like they're mostly women.
Excuse me? I love that. Were you tempted to just like plow in there? Because you know how they look like weak bitches.
The restraint you showed.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And the whole idea, he talks about, he wanted to show them for who they are in this act, and he gave his phone over to his friend as soon as it happened. Then, of course, we see that he has just been doing this over and over and over and over again. This is something that he does because he is a provocateur, an agitator. Here's him doing it here.
Me from entering, so I'm going to enter right now.
You pay tuition, right?
This is UCLA.
This is I believe this is our campus.
Absolutely. Now, if you excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm trying to enter.
Don't try to push it. The agitators don't try to push it.
Ladies and gentlemen, they're not letting me enter public land. What they're doing is illegal. Let's get a nice look at their faces. You can kiss your jobs goodbye. This is going to go viral on social media.
You can kiss your jobs goodbye, saying out loud exactly the reason why people wear masks. I mean, this idea that they don't show their face, they're cowards, they are the KKK, blah, blah, blah. When he is saying out loud, oh, yeah, this is going to go viral and you're all going to lose your jobs, which is the threat here. And this is what they are trying to do. When we talk about Canary Mission, we talk about stopantisemitism.org. The whole thing is the economic sanctions they're trying to put upon the future generation to scare these kids into being like, this is going to be on your permanent record.
And they're
not wrong to be scared of that.
Dude, he's so tiger beat though. Can we talk about he just feel like, did I have a picture of him on my wall when I was a kid? Fuck. Also
there is an AI type of hotness to every Israeli that exists. It's like and it makes sense. It's like AI stands for artificial Israeli, because it is an artificial.
But also, what is his
culture.
job? You know what I mean? Oh, that's the end of your job. He was on the East Coast, right?
No. Those. I don't know.
What's the first clip?
Well, the first clip he's talking about UCLA. That was at UCLA.
Oh, okay, so he's not going coast to coast, because initially I was like, oh, is he in Colombia?
Yeah.
No. So he's been here in LA.
So this guy, Rosa Narcs or whatever we would call him, he is
Rosa Narcs.
he's like, I can't get a seat on the bus.
Raph's getting all the puns in
I know,
comics.
he's crushing it.
So this guy, he has about 17 different doorways on campus to his class.
Yeah.
And he wants to walk probably the long way through the one part where there's an encampment.
Yes.
And then he's talking about their masks because the masks are there because of surveillance and doxing. People have been evicted, fired, suspended.
Suspended, yeah.
I know in our activism, like JVP, and like people send us like pictures of their guns and pictures of our homes.
100%.
Things like that. Like, of course we're going to protect ourselves, and you're not going to just walk into our a camp. But yeah, if you just Google any campus right now, and you could see the map, the encampment is like a little portion of it.
Yes.
No one's blocking every door. But this guy is just like, let me in.
Yeah,
this is
right.
the only way.
But also, like, what would happen if they just let him in? Like,
Well, what happens is that then he's there to disrupt. And
exactly. He's there to film them.
He's gonna
there
get
to,
poked
like,
in the
bother
eye
them.
by
No, of course.
a
Yeah,
straw.
he's gonna get poked in the eye by a flag,
Yes.
and then where will we be? Yeah.
Or I think you've seen some video of when someone was screaming anti-Semitic phrases from inside, and then later being shown to be the opposition, being Zionists inside the camp, and then waving an Israeli flag.
They
from
said
inside
death
the
to
camp.
Jews.
Right, and the
Arrest
Daily
everybody.
Beast had a great headline about this that again sums up everything.
God, you're so
Pro-Israel agitator shouts "Kill the Jews," gets everyone else arrested.
Northeastern.
Yes, and the story goes on to talk about Northeastern University had around 100 peaceful protesters arrested on Saturday at its Boston campus pro-Palestine encampment, claiming that there had been reports of protesters using anti-Semitic slurs, but according to witnesses, the protester who spewed his hate speech was a pro-Israel counter-protester. This is what they do, and this is part
Isn't this how Israel was formed?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, isn't this how Israel was formed? Was just like Zionists?
Yeah, they would go into a village in
and we're like,
in Palestine.
Kill the Jews!
They'd be like,
I was poked with a kebab.
Fucking Jews! Oh, what? Did you hear that? Someone said, hey, "Let's kill those Jews." Yeah, all right.
Well,
all right,
actually, they did because in Iran. So when Israel, I think
That's right.
Yeah, in Iran and in Egypt and in all over the Middle East. They sent Israeli spies to pretend to be Arabs to kill Mizrahi Jews.
That's right.
So that we leave because we actually love where we
Avi
live.
Shlaim writes about this extensively in terms of the way in which Arab Jews, Persian Jews throughout the MENA were coaxed into leaving the Middle East to go to Israel. Not to say that there wasn't, of course, also acts in various countries of anti-Semitism that existed,
of course,
as a reaction to Israel, to the creation of the state of Israel, but still not good. But it's like
Yeah, I learned about all this in my little Gaza, as Tom Cotton would call it, my university, my fucking school.
This is a place where you learn these things, and this is, for me, I look at this as like coming to fruition of a long plan. That has been in place for years in pro-Israel circles and in Zionist circles of trying to stop this discourse from happening in universities. This is one of the last places in which people can openly talk about Palestinians' human rights.
They know that's where people get woke on it. That they know.
Yes, and this is a great, the campus story is a great example of how this is even bigger than the Jews, where there's this long effort to introduce things like any kind of, so our superpower as the left is only our numbers. We're like 51%. When Trump was got his thing, we were literally people of color and voting and progressive of every color we're 51% in terms of voters. So our superpower is our majority. So all they have to do is make us break apart from each other.
Right.
And they're using every wedge issue from gendered bathroom, CRT, DEI, like everything, story time, drag story hour, like all those things. And it is like a reminder that anti-Semitism is a tool of white supremacy.
That's right.
And almost in every case, there are Jews who are opting in with the white supremacists for their temporary gain.
Yes.
At the cost of basically total annihilation for Jews at some point. But maybe they're thinking like, you know what, we're going to ride with the devil now, then we're going to outsmart him at the end. You know, like, you know, maybe that's their course of, you know,
I mean,
I just can't imagine what issue that I hold near and dear. Like if, you know, I believe in abortion rights, but if all of a sudden, like Alan Dershowitz started telling me like my body, my choice, and we need to protect every life, or no, sorry, we need to protect, like, you know, make sure that abortion rights are protected, I'd be like, I don't know. I might be a little pro. Like every ghoul from Lauren Boebert to, again, Dershowitz to just any far right wing, like fucking Ben Shapiro. Like all of these ghouls come out.
You take a step back and go, wait, hold on. Let me read one more time.
Yeah. Like, are we the baddies here? And like at some point you have to be like, no, yes, we are. Like Israel is the baddie.
Yes, 100%.
And like the thing about it, just like real quick, the thing about the tool of anti-Semitism and white supremacy is that there are all these extraordinary people who are not white around the world doing extraordinary things, changing culture, inventing things, and all of those things. And what they need, so that like is a check on this idea of white supremacy. Like how can whites be supreme, Christian whites be supreme, and everyone else is not if they're doing these amazing things? So that's where Jews come into play, where you could say this like magical kind of like not human, not the devil kind of
Elven.
being. This like elven money changer or whatever. he is what's responsible for artificially giving access and things to people of color.
This has
artificially making them Americans, artificially getting them into college with
it's at the core of every white supremacist you know, ideology, at least you know, in American in the West.
Because without the Jew, then everything you see before your eyes of black excellence, of people doing things, it renounces, like disproves white supremacy. So that's why we're so needed to be that middleman.
Yes, 100%. And I think, you know, something that you touched on that I think is really interesting is like anti-Semitism being used as a tool for white supremacy. And that actually also includes doing anti-Semitism to yourself in order to bolster white supremacy. Because let's not for a second kid ourselves. The act of being able to get 100 other people arrested by being the person who screams, kill the Jews at the protest, like that is using police power. That's using white privilege. That's access to that kind of state power is part of being under this tent of whiteness.
That's why what's so wild is that we are supposed to, and the media is telling us that actually that student, even though they yelled that student did it because they felt in danger. They felt scared.
Yes.
And they didn't know what
sometimes feelings are facts, apparently.
Right-wing white Jews are like the Karen Megatron.
Yes. And I think there's, if we're talking Karens,
I know a lot of them.
we've been dealing with a lot of them. This has been a wild 7 months.
It's wild though, because you're like, at the end of the day, I don't know how to tell you you're not special. Like that's all I want to say is like, guess what? You're not fucking special. And no one's coming for you.
No one gives a shit.
No one gives a shit about you.
Sorry. No one. I'm sorry, but no one knows you're Jewish.
Number one, nobody knows you're Jewish.
There's a few people in our lives that I'm like, I don't want to make this about appearance, but as someone who actually looks kind of Jewish, it's very annoying that these blonde-haired, blue-eyed bitches are out here being like, I'm scared. I'm sorry.
They're literally I was stopped because I'm Jewish.
It's like literally you look like the little girl who was screaming goodbye Jews at the train in Auschwitz in fucking Schindler's List. You look like the Polish girls who was like slit in the throat. Like, you're gonna sit here, you're gonna tell me you're scared of what? Being cast as a Nazi in Steven Spielberg's. Anyways, but But there's been a lot of Karenhood. One of the things that happened, this tactic of, weaponized Karenism has been used on college campuses. And I have a great clip of someone who I'm calling Dog Karen.
Nobody is going to hurt them. Nobody is going to attack them.
She is currently standing in the middle of the encampment. This is not someone who is this is someone who went into the encampment with their dog to call the police.
In like Lululemon.
Wait, hold on 1 second. What?
We gotta get our baby soon.
Okay. Oh, yeah. We're gonna get the baby soon, but first I have to play this Dog Karen wearing Lululemon.
This person is not in harm's way.
They are free to leave.
Nobody is going to hurt them. Nobody is going to attack them.
I'm really scared.
This person is not in harm's way. Yes, they're right in front of me right now.
The crazy thing about this video is there's all this open space in which
I know, I love that's my favorite part.
And the dog's like chill,
Yeah, the dog is honestly, I'm sorry, you cannot walk with the dog and be like, I feel like I'm in danger. And look, if the dog is chill, you're not in danger.
Again,
unless you got a fucking like a crap dog. Get a better dog.
So she's just rolled up to a bunch of protesters,
Yes.
if you're listening, and they're just like, you're not in danger. This woman's not in danger. Again, there's wide open space for this person to leave. She's clearly going there, instigating the trouble. I mean, it is, it is no coincidence. This is not the first dog Karen.
No, dog Karens exist.
Well, no, the famous dog Karen who called the cops on the black
that's right.
bird watcher.
Yes.
Right? And who everyone had no problem calling. What racism? This woman looking for trouble. This woman weaponizing his race against him to the fucking cops. And then this plays out and liberal Zionists are like, oh, well, I don't know. She might have felt a little tingle of unsafe. Like, no, she didn't, So it's just like, again, and the fact that this recasts a lot of where people stood in BLM and a lot of the way I think some Zionists think that social justice is purely transactional, and it is purely, nothing has come clearer than actually hearing people say, well, we stood with you during BLM, black person, you should stand with us. And it's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Sorry, by the way, also, I've been shaking my head this entire pod.
Yeah, I know.
We're gonna have like really strong whatever muscles.
Yeah, just from shaking.
Yeah, it is. It's disheartening and infuriating, and not good for the Jews. I'll say that. I mean,
the good news, it's like the bottom of the barrel.
Yes,
like it's very transparent. It's like
yes.
If I were to send someone to do these things to discredit Zionists. Like, this is exactly all the people I would send, except I would make them don't do the genocide, but do that thing, and you're just going to discredit this whole thing. Like, they're doing what I would wish they would do to discredit themselves.
I know it is nice because we are at this era, this particular moment in which the Hasbara has become bad. And the tactics have become obvious, and it's not working. And you see that in our final video that I want to play, in the way that people are, there's been more and more people who are waking up to this idea that like Israel is this bad actor and that they, as an ally of the United States, is a fucking ridiculous thing if you are in any way someone who believes the United States should be in partnership with good places. And just want to play kind of like the hero of the week. This is just a cool guy. I don't know how they started this conversation, but it's a guy who's driving in his car and some people are asking him some questions as he's driving. And I'm just going to play it because I love him so much.
Got no shame. Free Gaza. That 48 since 1948. That occupation bullshit is bullshit. Israel, your fucking secret is out, bitches. You got your number. God watching.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, man.
He pulls away in his Hyundai.
I love this guy. That's so fun.
I don't know.
Doesn't he know like 2% of that carburetor was made in Israel? Like, how dare
wow.
he?
The nerve.
Here's the thing. You can't go around, criticizing Israel when you are someone who enjoys computer chips. Okay? because every computer chip made in Israel, every Hyundai manufactured.
That guy is incredible.
Isn't that a great guy?
But it's also just like, this is a random black guy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he is in his car. And
I assume he's random because I don't know how. But again, what?
Oh, he's probably an agitator.
How did what I mean is
how did Hamas get into the blue Hyundai?
How did they start that conversation where he's just like, "Hey, guy driving a Hyundai"?
No, so the person clearly who's filming has like some kind of Free Palestine flag.
Oh,
like this is a
I love
conversation
that.
among
the
flag, saw the keffiyeh, whatever.
It was
and
just
like,
wanted to say, "Hey, I'm in solidarity with you."
Exactly, because someone like him has no place potentially to fucking talk about this,
right?
And so he sees somebody, I'm assuming with a flag or whatever, and is like, "Let me just get 30 seconds of something that nobody on news media will fucking tell me."
Yeah,
which is Israel's the baddie here.
Yes.
There's also this fun fact that comes also from oppression, but like Black Americans are actually overrepresented in being critical of Zionism.
That's right.
And against the war attack on Gaza, and that's of course because they've seen all these lies and all this gaslighting, and people claiming they're hurt or were raped or were touched or this or all those
right,
things.
or that people who are advocating for in solidarity with them are somehow all Soros shills, or somehow all paid protesters, or somehow are all acting in bad faith. It's like
or like
it's the same tactics. It's the same tactics. The difference is that like we have not seen, I think, this level of outcry and this level of repression, and so this is the one silver lining for all this is keep the repression up. Because at this point, I'm only seeing it spiral out of control. I'm not seeing people shut up about it. I'm seeing more people talk about it.
What you're saying to Mitt Romney is,
I love the police. That's what I'm saying.
No, I think you're saying to Mitt Romney, who wonders why the PR is so bad.
Why is the PR so bad?
The Hasbara is bad. Dude.
The Hasbara is bad.
It's done. They're out of ideas.
They're out of ideas. But, I have some ideas for all of you out there. Join the Patreon. And also, Raph, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking. We love you.
I love you guys.
Where can people find you?
I have a radio show in New York every Friday right after Democracy Now! At 9 a.m. on 99.5 FM. But also we stream on WBAI.org, and we just started on your favorite podcasting apps and Spotify. Nice. So it's called Beyond the Pale, and there's a lot of things called Beyond the Pale. So you have to do this weird thing where you write Beyond the Pale and then Jew or something.
Yeah.
Or like bagel or schmata or something, and it'll come up. But we're there, and also at Rafael Shimunov on Twitter and at Rafternoon on Instagram.
I've been loving some of your threads, Raph. They've been really hard hitting, and just some of this. Everyone should follow you.
Yeah, dude, your threads are dope.
Your threads are sick. Not the Threads app, but your.
No, that app sucks. But your Instagram is dope. Your Twitter's off the hook. And I love Beyond the Pale. I was on it.
Dank.
I was on it.
You were so good. It was one of our most popular shows. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Hey.
That was a lot of fun. But everyone, please follow him on everything. Thank you for coming on. Patreon.com/Bad Hasbara. Please join. Even if you join for free, it's okay. You can join for free, and you'll get news updates about the show and shit. And it's we need all the support we can get. Even free support is support.
I have a Genocide Joe stickers at stopgenocidejoe.com.
Oh, hell yeah!
Everything goes to Gaza.
Yes, stopgenocidejoe.com. Please, link will be in the bio. Please buy a sticker. And it supports something good.
Start a conversation while you're driving.
Exactly. Meet some cool guys when you're fucking driving. badhasbar@gmail.com for all your questions, comments, concerns. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening to Bad Hasbara. And until next time.
Listen to the Bitchuation Room podcast as well. And follow me at Franny Fio. It's okay. Go get our daughter.
Okay. And from the river to the sea, listen to the Bitchuation Room, starring my wife, Francesca Fiorentini. Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Oh, Fiorentini.
No, but me was good because you helped. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Jumping jacks was us. Push-ups was us. Krav Maga us. All karate us.